Here on a 2007 Buick Lucerne. Right here we have the EVAP canister per solenoid valve. We have our test point, and here is our EVAP hose for the fuel tank. Here you can see the EVAP filter in the housing. Right, we have our EVAP vent hose, and in here we have our EVAP filter. Here on the car we have our fuel tank. Come over here, we have our EVAP canister, we have our EVAP hoses, and we have our connector. And then if we go up here, we have our EVAP. Right there we have our EVAP canister solenoid valve. Right here is the vent to atmosphere line. Right here we are ohming the EVAP canister vent solenoid valve, and we're getting a reading of about 20 ohms. Here we have the canister per solenoid valve ohmed. Right now we're getting a reading around 20.9 ohms. Here I have the ohm meter hooked up to the canister purge valve. We're getting a reading around 20.9 ohms. Here we have the scan tool hooked up. The car is idling right now. As we can see, the EVAP vent solenoid is venting. We have a 0% on the EVAP purge. Our fuel tank pressure is at 0. Our fuel tank pressure sensor is at 1.4. Our fuel load is at 2%. And our fuel level voltage is at 2.55. So the next test we're going to do is we're going to remove the filler cap and watch the fuel tank pressure. Now we're removing the filler cap right about now. You see where I removed it with the value changes. And it seems to be leveling off around 1.4 and 4.5, so not really a big change. But you can see where the values do change often. So here another test we can do with the scan tool is the EVAP vent solenoid, turn it off and on. We're going to test that. First we're going to turn it off. See that the fuel pressure really doesn't change, it stays the same value. And we're going to turn it on. And we see that the fuel tank pressure starts to go down. And we're going to turn it back off. And we see the fuel tank pressure going back up. Right now we have the scan tool hooked up, and we can control the EVAP per solenoid percent. We're going to look at the fuel tank pressure. Right now we're at negative 0.18 on the test. Right now we're at 0%. And at 10%, 20. See the pressure starting to go down. 30, pressure goes down even more. 40, pressure goes down even more. I'm going to bring it back up, and you see the fuel pressure does rise back up when we have 0% back on the EVAP per solenoid. Here we have the scan tool hooked up, and we can control the purge amount. Right now we're looking at the fuel tank pressure, which is around 2.95 and climbing. We're going to purge and increase the value. Right now we're at 10, still climbing. 20, around 20 we're starting to go down on a fuel tank pressure. Go to 30. We're now in the negatives. So when you increase the purge, your fuel tank pressure goes down. So we went ahead and did an EVAP test using the scan tool, and the vehicle did pass the test.